Nobody say anything.
Hey, how many of y'all have jobs as of this date and, enjoy it?
Me?
Me. How many of you wish you had a job but can't really get through that first step?
Me.
Well, today I'm going to help you out. I'm going to tell you how you can have the perfect interview. Well, which is what you really need as people for doing our jobs in society, making money, keeping life going. We don't want to become homeless and poor. To have the perfect interview starts off with your impression. When you do your impression, it's what people think of you. It's part of it. Your clothing, like what I'm wearing right now. You want attire appropriate for what you're going to be going for, as if I was a person walking around going for a construction. Like I'm supposed to be surveying the land, making sure everything looks nice and everything's up to code. I go up to my interviewer, I'm wearing professional attire. I don't want it to be imperfect. I don't want loose threads. You may not see a loose thread on me depending on the quality, but if you have loose threads, that's really bad. It shows worn down, hand-me-down. You want nice, clean clothes. If you have to, get them pressed. Makes it look professional and crisp. Otherwise, make sure you do woman, have makeup, make sure your hairstyle. By styling, I mean don't spike it or make it real fancy. Just normal hair, probably maybe braid or something, depending on your job. Business attire. It's got to be professional. You also want to make sure, if you're a man, make sure your face is shaven. Well, there's also the other problem is most of us might have acne. That's hard to cover up baby makeup. Or, just say, hey, this condition, it's going away soon. Now you gotta express yourself. You gotta make sure, because you're conveying your feelings, your words. They're gonna see it. They're gonna understand you. Well, your posture, how you're sitting, what you're doing. If you go in and you're sitting and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna sit all casually, and you're stressed, you're angry, it's gonna show through your posture. If you go in and you're confident, you're gonna be sitting with your hands relaxed, probably one leg over the other, and you're like, hey, I'm good. Go in there calmly, say, hey, how you doing? My name is Joseph. We'll be doing good. My people at The Balance, they've worked out a really good code for what you want to wear. Usually a suit and tie works, but if you need to look for casual, as what you'd be wearing in an office. Maybe without the sweater vest, a shirt, probably long sleeve and undershirt. Tie obviously, looks nice. Now, what you're speaking, how you speak, because when you get emotional, you may cry, your emotions go through your voice. If you're angry, it's going to be tense, you might raise or lower your voice, and they might not always understand you, and you might push them away. You also got to be careful of how you're acting, like hand movements, your gestures. Like when you walk in, you don't want to walk in and just sit down. You want to walk in and greet them and be like, hey, you make it kind of personal because you're trying to show them hey, I'm not afraid of people. I'm a good customer. Now, your brain power. Your brain is the absolute key to interview success. You need to research your job. Like me, since I'm an engineer, I'm going to be going into engineering. If I want to do a specific engineering, would be, let's say, civil. I want to go build buildings. Well, I need to know structural integrity, how materials would cost, what would affect it. I need to make sure that it would meet the standards. So when I go in, I need to make sure I have a copy of several papers. Because for one, they may not have the resume and they may be expecting you to be prepared. So come in with a resume, make sure it's your resume, make sure it's up to code, you finished updating it, everything's good, and you know all your information on it back to front. And that you may or may not have, let's say, your resume recommendation on you, because they may want those too, instead of having to call them, you already have them handwritten, prepared. You also need to make sure you have closing letters, which means when you're done, you're like, hey, thank you for coming, here's a thank you letter, saying how much you appreciated them spending their time. As you're going out, give it to people at the front desk and people you meet too that helped you out throughout the day, because that's important too. Now, you need to quiz yourself, because your brain is important. If you don't quiz yourself, you're going to fail. Let's say you go in and hey, how could you make our company better? You weren't prepared for that. Well, if you quiz yourself, you're thick of questions that may or may not be asked to you about this specific job you're going for or about the company. If you quiz yourself, you're more likely to have information on hand, ready, and available to use, and you know how to answer it, and it won't surprise you. Because once again, if you look surprised about the question, they would know, hey, this guy doesn't really fully into this. He's just trying to get by. But these are the steps to success. You want to make sure you look the part. Be professional. Show how you look. Express what you want. don't express what you don't need. If you're going to be angry, find a way to calm yourself, get rid of nervousness, go in, be nice. You treat someone well, they treat you well too. You want to make sure you know what you need to know. If you don't know the knowledge of the job, then you will not make it through, and they will have a really big problem. Like the Daily News, they like to make up interview questions for people. They have typical job interview questions, and they have very specific ones for fields that may or may not be what you're required for or what you're using. You still need to make sure you have the knowledge. So, once again, quiz yourself. Make sure it's all up to date. And work on it. Make sure you know the job. You know you may or may not know the person who's going to interview, but you know the company information, what you need to know. And that's how you're going to get through your interview, and then you're hired. This is to make sure you know my information is legit. I have good sources, and they're all required. Goodbye. Just in case no one hid.